Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we're talking about the spell Control Water on the Doctor Spell Prognosis. We're giving this spell a B, but first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. All right, so we're giving this spell a B. The major reason I'm giving this spell a B is you may not always, the situation may not arise where you actually can use this spell. So it's, if you have prepared it or memorized it, it takes a slot up or takes a position up in your prepared slash memorized spells. And it sits there, which it could be used for something else. I'm going to talk a little bit about spell slot mechanics and the thinking. So you have to purposefully say, I am going to learn Control Water today, or I'm going to have it ready to go today. And then you may not come upon any bodies of water, in which case the spell is going to do nothing because it doesn't do anything if there's no water, especially if there's no water that's large enough to be affected by it. So that's the major reason I'm giving it a B. Now, if you know you're going up against someplace where there is water, this immediately goes to an A because there's lots of things you can do with this. It's very powerful for control. So, again, this one, if you know you're going to water and you have enough prep time, you definitely want to take this spell. If you don't know, then, the utility of this and the grade for this goes down quite a bit. All right, so it's a 4th level spell that is usable by clerics, druids, wizards, Tempest Domain clerics, Circle of the Land Coast druids, Oath of the Open Sea paladins, which I believe is a Matt Mercer special, and the Genie Warlock. So lots of different classes can use this. It's on the base spell list for clerics, druids, and wizards. Not sure why this is not on for sorcerers. I really don't understand that, but here's another spell that wizards get and sorcerers don't. There's some that sorcerers get and wizards don't. I would think that at least for, let's say, well, I guess there's a kind of sorcerer that kind of goes storm sorcery. Why is this not on the storm sorcery list? They actually don't have a list of spells. So I would think that storm sorcerers, but it is what it is. So it is usable by clerics, druids, and wizards. Okay, so it takes one action. That's great. It has a range of 300 feet. That is massive. Verbal, somatic, and material component, which is drop of water, pinch of dust, that's worthless. Lasts for 10 minutes, so it lasts a long time. And its concentration, you do want to concentrate on the spell once you do cast it. Now, why would you need to use this for 10 minutes versus, the average of like 4 or 5 rounds for a combat? Maybe your party has to assault a fort or something to that effect, a fortified encampment of bad guys that are near a river or a lake. This spell is one of the ways that you can just start decimating it, and you can kind of use it in that mass combat type of style to have a lot of flavor in interacting with whatever that mass density of troops is. So, and then there's some strength saving throws that take place in here. That's not the greatest save in the world. It's not my favorite for me as a player to have to force an opponent to use, but it is what it is. Okay, so until the spell ends, you control any freestanding water inside an area you choose that is a cube up to 100 feet on a side. That is huge. That is a massive area. A cube with a side 100 feet high, 100 feet wide. That is huge. You can choose from any of the following effects when you cast a spell. As an action on your turn, you can repeat the same effect, or you can choose a different one. So you do have to spend your action with this every single turn, but it is pretty awesome. So you can flood. You can change the thing you do every single turn, which is very useful for all of these. So you can flood. You cause the water level of all standing water in the area to rise as much as 20 feet. So there could be an encampment or a castle that's right on the shore, and all of a sudden the water goes up 20 feet. So most walls on castles are around 20 to 30 feet high. And for villages or encampments or things like that, they at that point they'd be underwater. So this is a really good one. Um, if the area includes a shore, the flooding water spills over onto dry land. So that's where I was talking about. If you choose an area in a large body of water, you instead create a 20-foot tall wave that travels from one side of the area to the other. So this is in the water, not on the shoreline or on the land. And then crashes down. So if there's any boats or vehicles in the path of the wave, they're carried to the other side. So if you're in like a combat where you're in a boat and the other guy and the opponents are in a boat, you could make them go to 100 feet away easily. And then they got to come back. So you could actually eliminate opponents in a water combat or a surface water combat from attacking you that way. Any huge or smaller vehicles, and that's huge. Remember, huge is 15 feet. So that could include a lot. In the wave's path are carried with it to the other side. Any huge or smaller vehicles struck by the wave have a 25% chance of capsizing. So that's another one. You push them, and then they flip over, and then that vehicle, that boat is gone. That ship is gone. The water level remains elevated until the spell ends or you choose a different effect. If this effect produced a wave, the wave repeats at the start of your next turn while the flood effect lasts. So you can go flood, and then it'll keep going over and over and over again. I read that as you not having to use your action for this, but as I would say, because it says as an action on your turn, you can repeat the same effect. I think you do have to use your action. I would say, as a DM, I would say that the player has to use his action every turn to do the wave. All right, second thing you can do is part water. You cause the water in an area to move apart and create a trench. Again, if you need to get across something, then you can get across. I've had players use this. I've had players use this particular spell in Tomb of Annihilation because there's like a river that goes through the middle of the Tomb of Annihilation and is a big part of the city of Omu that's flooded. So they use this very effectively to flood areas and get an opponent that they could not see basically to be flushed out. No pun intended. So with this part water, you form a trench that extends across the spell's area, which is 100 feet. So if you've got a river, most rivers are not 100 feet deep. So you could part a river very easily. The trench remains until the spell ends or you choose a different effect. This is kind of, I guess you could part a new thing. It'll be parted. You have to concentrate on it, and I guess it's going to stay parted. You don't have to use an action to keep it parted. The water then slowly fills in the trench over the course of the next round until the normal water level is restored. And so if you lose concentration or you change the effect, it takes a round for the water to come in. So if you're 100 feet away and you can get across this trench, and it's just like Moses parting the Red Sea, if the enemy can't get across in time, then it's going to be flooded, basically. Next one is redirect flow. You can cause flowing water in an area to move in a direction you choose, even if the water has to flow over obstacles or walls or in other unlikely directions like against the flow of water, obviously. The water in the area moves as you direct it, but once it moves beyond the spell's area, it resumes its flow based on terrain conditions. The water continues to move in a direction you choose until the spell ends or you choose a different effect. This is kind of like flood, sort of, but you could have the water go over a wall, or you could, if you needed to change the flow of the water every 100 feet, you could go upstream very quickly that way. The last one is Whirlpool. So this effect requires a body of water at least 50 feet deep and 50 feet square and 20 feet deep. You cause a whirlpool to form in the center of the area. The whirlpool forms a vortex that is 5 feet at the base, 50 feet wide at the top, and 25 feet tall. So any creature in the water and within 25 feet of the vortex is pulled 10 feet towards it. A creature can swim away from the vortex by making a strength check against the spell DC. So that is probably not very easy to do because Spell DCs have spell save DCs have a tendency to be pretty high if you've created your character the way you're supposed to. When a creature enters the vortex for the first time or starts its turn there, it has to make a strength saving throw. So this is the bad part. A lot of creatures have very high saving throws, so they can get out of this. On a failed save, it takes 2d8 and is caught in the vortex until the spell ends. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage and isn't caught, but they're still in it, and they got to swim away, which requires them to make an athletics check against the spell DC. A creature caught in the vortex can use its action to try swim away from the vortex as described above, but it has disadvantage on that swim check. Now, here's a good one to do with this, is if you've got a warlock in the party, you can hex them. And then you can hex them for strength. And so they will, even though that doesn't affect saving throws, it affects that athletics check, which means their initial athletics check will be at disadvantage, and they will get pulled closer and closer every turn and not be able to get out. So the first time each turn that an object enters the vortex, it takes 2d8 damage. This damage occurs each round. It remains in a vortex. So all in all, if you're in water, this is an awesome, you're near water, or you're making a water-to-shore assault that is right on the shore, or if you're in ships, this is a great spell to use, and it will turn the tide of combat very fast. It also is great in mass combat situations for planning purposes. It's great if you know that you're going to be close to water. But if you have no idea and you memorize it or prepare it or use it as a spell choice and you don't come up against water, then it's really not that great. All right, that's what I got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.